Now, tell me if you've heard this before. The Dallas Stars lose game 1 to the Colorado Avalanche, but play, quote, one of their better games in 3 or 4 weeks. What adjustments are needed for game 2 in order to even up the series? We'll discuss next on Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars are unable to reverse the trend of losing game 1 under Pete DeBoer as they fall to the Colorado Avalanche by a final score of 5-1. But DeBoer did say they played one of their better games in 3 or 4 weeks. And I would agree with that sentiment. We're going to dive in to game 1, talk about my reactions, some of my observations, get into some of the game 2 adjustments the Stars need to make. Also, Miro Heiskanen was listed as day-to-day, and we're praying number 4 can come back at some point during this series, especially with Jason Robertson now out for the time being. So much to get into on today's episode of Locked On Stars. Welcome back to another week as well. Hit that subscribe button for any of you that are new. Hit the notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. So I got the benefit of watching this game in hindsight. I was unable to watch it live, but I agree with head coach Pete DeBoer that the Stars played one of their better games in 3 or 4 weeks. The final 10 minutes of the third period is where the majority of my concerns lie. After the Stars cut the lead to 1 with the power play goal from Roope Hintz, the Stars weren't able to muster up much offense after that. They had 2 shots in the final 10 minutes of regulation, and one of those shots was a wrist shot from in front of the Colorado bench, about a 50-foot wrist shot that Blackwood was able to stare into the glove, and they just weren't able to muster up enough offense on Blackwood, who was spectacular, by the way. The score was certainly not indicative of how the Stars played, and for the most part, I have a lot of positives to talk about out of game 1. I thought the Stars' intensity was really good. Their competitiveness, they weren't getting outworked like we saw for the majority of the final 2.5 weeks of the regular season. I thought they were up to the task, and they made a lot of good things happen. And if you look at some of the 5-on-5 numbers, it's not like Dallas was being dominated outside of really the final 10 minutes. And I think you have to give Colorado some credit too. They're a really good road team, and they closed out that game. That's how you have to win games when you're up by 1 with 10 minutes to go in the third period. Can you close out a game? And they certainly did that. And Dallas wasn't able to get enough offensive looks. They only ended up with 6 shots on goal in the third period, but they had the breakdown where Taves was able to score, and that was sort of the dagger, so to speak. Dallas just wasn't able to really create anything else, especially at 6-on-5 with the extra attacker. But I liked what I saw out of a lot of different individuals. Bichsel, number 1, he looked rather comfortable. I know he had some issues late. We're going to get to some of that here in a bit, because I would say that it was his fault on the Taves goal. The Stars were getting torched off the rush. They gave up a lot of quality looks, and we're going to get to that in the game 2 adjustments. But again, I don't know if that was Bichsel's man, but if I would read the system correctly for Dallas, Petrovic was back. He takes O'Connor. Bichsel should have slid over to the middle to take Taves. So that pass that works across to Manson, who set up the Taves goal, Bichsel should have been on Taves, and whoever the first forward back was, I think it was Wyatt Johnston, should have had Manson. But either way, the Stars cannot continue to allow that width of the rink pass. That's where they got into a lot of trouble against Colorado. In terms of their defensive posture, when Colorado had some zone time, when Dallas was in their defensive set, I thought they did actually pretty well at boxing out in front of Ottinger. Jake made a couple of big saves. The 2 goals he gave up in the second period, just some tough bounces. The Lehkonen goal got kicked in, and then you have the McKinnon power play goal that goes off of Lyubushkin and changes directions. But I thought the Stars, for the most part, did a really, really decent job in their defensive posture. Off the rush is a different story in transition, but Colorado's a fast team, and they want to attack downhill, and Dallas has to do a much better job off the rush against Colorado. But you can look at some of the expected goals numbers at 5-on-5, Stars 2.11, Avalanche 2.09. The high danger chances were 9 apiece. Avalanche had 18 scoring chances at 5-on-5, Dallas at 16. So it wasn't like Dallas was getting mauled in this game. And I think if you're the Stars, you have to feel really strongly about your performance in game one. I know that the result isn't there, but you lose Robo a couple of days before. Of course, you don't have Miro. You had to switch up the lines a bit to basically come up with some sort of a lineup, and there's going to be some guys that have to get used to playing with one another, and I think there was some of that. And also, Dallas just didn't finish on some of the looks. Blackwood made a couple of ginormous saves in the first period. The save he made on Ben on the power play. He had another on Marchment, which would have tied the game in the third period. He was dead to rights, and he really didn't make a save. He just got his body in the way, so to speak, which I guess is a save. But he put it off the rib cage, and it stayed out. Like, I could have sworn it was going to be 2-2 after that look. And there was a lot of positives in the game. I mean, the shots on goal, 24-24. We haven't seen that in a while here. What really hurt them was their penalties. They have to stay out of the box. You cannot load up a Colorado power play. The penalty kill at the beginning of the game was phenomenal. The 5-on-3, Sam Steele was incredible as the point man, broke up so many of those seam passes for Colorado, and Dallas was giving up shots that you want to give up from about the tops of the circles. McKinnon had one in the dead slot. Otter made an incredible save on. Makar blasted a few wide. He had a lot of tasty looks, and he kept painting the glass. Dallas cannot afford to give Makar that much time and space outside of penalty situations. When you're down a man, he's going to get some looks. But you cannot take 8 penalty minutes. And DeBoer mentioned that. It's going to cost you. Colorado's too good. They're too talented, and they got a couple bounces to go their way. Dallas in the third period, the first 12, I would say the first 8 minutes, really strong. Dallas was pushing. I thought they had Colorado on their heels. They had some good looks. And eventually they cashed in on the power play. Great time to call timeout for Pete DeBoer to get Harley some rest. He mentioned in the post-game press conference, he's their only power play defenseman, so they were able to give him some time to rest. And then they came back out, and they were able to get that deflection from Rope Hintz. Not a lot of clean goals went past goaltenders tonight. Blackwood was incredible. If it wasn't for him, I think Dallas is right in the game. Do they win? I don't know. But you even at 3-1, you're thinking, well, a couple of those bounces, it could be 1-1 at the end of the day. And again, you're down in the series. You don't have a ton of moral victories right now. But at this point, I thought that was a pretty decently played game for Dallas based off losing Robo again, having to mix up some lines. Cody Ceci, I thought, looked really good. I thought he played pretty well on the night. Harley, he played 27 and a half minutes. He's going to play a ton. We know that. And Lyubushkin, I thought he had a pretty strong game. You look at some of the 5-on-5 numbers, pretty good for some of the defensemen like Ceci when he was on the ice. And, played physical. Bichsel, for that matter, I thought had a really nice game. And it also says a lot that the Stars are scratching Matt Dumba, who they paid in the offseason for 3 years, and they're playing Petrovic, who played the entire season down in the AHL. But he's trustworthy with Bichsel. I thought he looked rather comfortable for his first experience, laid some big hits, made some decent plays. And again, I thought there was a lot to like. And I know they lost 5-1 and it looks ugly, but I think when you look at it from a bird's eye view, well, it wasn't the result they wanted, but they hung with them. They were competitive. Again, they're losing some key players. It's going to be hard to win a series without two of your top 4 players. That's going to be really hard to do. And I think game 1 should give them a confidence boost moving forward. I did want to touch on some of the discourse around Rantanen, even from the Stars fan base. Again, I find a bit weird. I don't know if I'm smoking something or just watching a completely different game. I thought he looked fine. He's certainly not the issue. Do they need him to be a part of the solution? Yes, he needs to be a part of the solution, but he was one of the few guys that actually created a scoring chance in that third period. When he drove down the side, he put on the brakes, he set up Petrovic, and Blackwood made a really nice save on the one-timer. I know he had Hintz cutting in, but I thought Rantanen was fine. It made some decent plays, especially early in the first period. Had some looks. I don't know why he's so I guess controversial. I guess maybe I'm just watching a different game. I thought he looked fine, comfortable. I made some decent plays. He was integral part on the power play too. I know he was fighting the puck a bit. I'm not going to say he was phenomenal, but I don't understand the overreaction to 96. I think we need to worry about a few more things. I think there's about a 50 thing list I could probably come up with if you really wanted me to, before we get to Mikko Rantanen and his issues. Stars just need to finish a bit. Got to execute on some of their chances, but tip your cap to Blackwood. Incredible debut in the playoffs. A big save here and there, and well, that's what you need. You need some timely stops. So I thought there was a lot of positives, and it's weird to kind of put out there after a game like that. And again, I'm not happy about being down 1-0. It has to stop. It's not good. Now they have to reset and try to win game 2. It's the must-win game 2. We thought that last year, and they go down 2-0, and they were able to crawl themselves out of the hole. But in a series like this, where Dallas is overcoming injuries, they need to win this game. They need to win it in a bad way. Let's talk about some of those game 2 adjustments, some things I saw in game 1 that I sort of alluded to already that they have to clean up. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it's unlike anything else. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building, it's next level. And thanks to Game Time, getting in that door is easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets. Even for those must-see matchups, prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer. And with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60% off. Last-minute deals. Buy last minute for sports, concert, comedy, theater, just anything you want, not just the NHL playoffs. All-in pricing shows the total up front. You can see the view from your seat before you buy. And with Game Time ticket coverage, you know you're protected, or the 24-hour return guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKED OWNNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I do want to apologize that I'm not able to upload an immediate episode after each game like I was able to do last year. Currently, the Ice Rays team I work for are in a playoff run, and some of our games are aligning, just like game 2 tonight. So I'm going to get an episode out later after I'm able to watch. The other job has to take priority, which I love both, but I can't do live reactions, which stinks because I want to watch the games live, but I have to do the other job as well. So let's talk about some of the game 2 adjustments, and I sort of touched on this in the first segment. They have to clean up their transition and off the rush defense. And this is a problem that's stemmed from the last month of the season as well. They're just not doing a good enough job of playing either within their system or just marking the opposition. And we saw that on the Tays goal. And we'll kind of go back to this. And you can watch this develop if you go to the NHL.com app or whatever. You can watch the dots, that shows the play. And how Dallas usually like to attack off the rush. So 25, O'Connor, who has the pill, the left wing attack, Petrovic attacks. That's what they want him to do. Then the middle lane guy that's driving needs to be taken by the weak side defenseman, which is Bichsel in this case. And instead of Bichsel going to Tays, he sort of gets caught in the middle because the pass that goes across the rink to Josh Manson, 42, is trailing the play. But Kiviranta is also driving the net for Colorado. So Bichsel sort of gets caught in this no man's land where he doesn't take Tays, he doesn't take 94, Kiviranta, and he doesn't really take Manson, which by not making a decision, it almost makes it worse. But if I'm correct, he needs to stay with Tays there. Ben also doesn't do a great job. He can't allow that pass from 25. Johnston has to hustle back to try to get to 42. But either way, Bichsel needs to be with Tays driving the net, because if you're going to give up a chance here, you're going to want the shot from Manson from the right circle where Otter can come out and get a pretty decent eye on the shot. Instead, Tays is at the net all alone. Nobody's on him. Petrovic was with 25, O'Connor. So nobody's with Tays. And yes, Bichsel has 94, but that's really not his man. If anything, that's got to be Ben or Johnston, that first guy back. So they have to clean up. And when we saw that even on the Lehkonen goal, where they allow McKinnon to work laterally across, penetrate in, it pushes and sinks the defense of Dallas, and it allows Lehkonen a lot of that time and space to get a shot away. I know it wasn't clean, it was blocked, and then the whole fluky, awkward bounce happened. But they have to hold better gaps. And I know Colorado's fast, but they have to keep Colorado from entering the attack zone with speed. They have to challenge the blue line if they can, because Colorado will torch them. And we've seen this a lot. They keep allowing that rink-wide pass. It makes it really challenging for Otter, who's having to try to see that pass through bodies. And if Dallas isn't marking their opposition like they're supposed to, and we've seen it a lot, they're just giving up too many blank chances in front of Otter, and Tays had the easy redirection. So that's an adjustment they have to try to solve to try to quell some of the opportunities Colorado gets. Because I mean, there wasn't I don't recall like amazing chances when Dallas was defending, in their set, or Colorado had some zone time. There's some good deflections here and there, but I thought Dallas did a pretty decent job of doing well, keeping Colorado the outside for the most part, trying to keep them away from being the interior, but they still won the net battle. You look at 3 goals, they won the net front. All Colorado's goals came in the middle of the rink. Like if you're going to give them that opportunity, sorry, there's flies, so I'm smacking my laptop here, but yeah, they have to clean it up. Number 2, it's got to be execution. They have to finish some chances, right? The Marchment, look, Johnston on the power play did well to elevate. Blackwood made a save, and you got to tip your cap. Blackwood's expected goals against 4.01 via hockey stat card. Like he was impressive. And look, if Colorado's going to get that type of net minding here in the series, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be a rough ask for Dallas to try to beat Colorado if Blackwood's going to be on like he was, because he made a couple just really, really key saves. But they got to bear down on some of their chances, and they need to get to the net front a bit more. They have to funnel pucks into some of those dirty areas. They've had a tough time attacking off the rush lately, just with their offense. I think some of that stems from they're just having to shuffle some lines together, and it didn't help. Robo was out in game 82, and they're having to flip Dodonov back up top, and Rantanen is playing with Johnston and Ben, and they're having some moments. It's just not quite clicking all the way. You know what you're going to get from Dutchy and Chutch at 5-5, 7 scoring chances for Duchesne and company. The next closest was the fourth line. Like that's a bit of an issue. They need more out of their other, 6 guys, their other 2 lines, especially because Colorado, their big boys are gonna get some looks, especially with what Dallas is trotting out there defensively. They're gonna have some decent looks against Ceci on the power play. That's why Dallas has to stay out of the box, right? So I know some of this is pretty cut and dry and simple, but it rings true. Got to stay out of the box as much as possible. And look, a 5-on-3 doesn't help, and a double minor. If you're gonna take a penalty, let's try to keep it the minor variety to give your side a better chance. So that's some of the looks or some of the executions adjustments Dallas is going to have to find here as I finally destroyed that fly. Mr. Miyagi over here. All righty. Miro's day today, which is a great sign. There was an optional practice. I want to touch on some of the updates from Sunday today and maybe any lineup changes, something we could expect for game 2. And we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming system and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into 100 of the premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as well. Easily as you stream your favorite shows, you can game. It's simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribe services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. I'm on a Big Bang Theory kick right now. I've watched it once. I'm watching it over again on Max, and that's what the Fire TV has to offer. It's a great option to start playing Xbox as well for you entertainment lovers. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. So there was an interesting update before game 1, actually, on morning skate. As many of you know, Miro was skating, which was awesome sight to see. And he was listed as day to day. So that is nice. Heiskanen did skate with the team again today. I'm recording this on a Sunday, which again, it's good news. I'm not expecting him to play tonight. I don't think that's the case. I think if anything, game 4 or 5 is sort of my gut reaction. Let's say Dallas goes down 3-1. He may play in, a game 5, right? Or maybe they trail 2-0. Or maybe they go down 3-0. He may play game 4, although maybe at that point you don't want it. But you understand the point. So that is a good sign. Robo was listed at week to week. I don't have a good I don't have a good feeling about him returning to this series. It seems like they're going to have to get through this one without him to get him back. Week to week can always mean so many different things, but I don't think that's a great sign. It was mentioned he left Nashville with a brace on his knee, so that stinks, obviously. So I don't think they're going to get Robo back. Miro may be closer to maybe a game 3 return now, based off what we've heard. But it's I would say gut reaction. Maybe game 4 or 5 seems more likely. Game 5 would be at home, which is maybe a good opportunity to work him back into the lineup. And we're still waiting on Landeskog too. It seems like game 3 for him is a likely return. At the optional skate, Bichsel, or not Bichsel, pardon me. It was heavy optional, but a lot of the healthy scratches skated. So we saw Petrovic, Bichsel, Blackwell, Dumba, Smith to Smith, and Cross were all out there for the optional. So I think they're probably going to roll out a pretty similar lineup. the fourth line, I think, did their job. I think they liked their back end. DeBoer answered a question about it, said for the most part, they changed some pairings. You saw Harley with Ceci a lot more in game one. And again, I thought they stood up rather well for the most part. If there's going to be a change, we may see Dumba in there at some point for Petrovic, just to maybe give Dallas some more offense, maybe, or just a veteran physical presence. I know Petrovic sort of brings that. If they weren't thrilled with his game, I think Bichsel has to stay in. Again, he looked rather comfortable last night, and that's a good sign to see from a rookie in his first taste of playoff action. Again, it sort of goes back to the first segment. I don't think Dallas is overwhelmed in the game, and that is a really positive sign for me, because they've just looked overwhelmed by a lot of different teams, and that, to me, wasn't the case in game one. And I know it was not a great finish in regulation. Again, 2 shots in the final 10 minutes, it's not going to cut it, especially down 1. But I thought they were competitive. And I know I'm setting the bar real low, but this is what Dallas is right now with some of the losses in their lineup. It's tough. Again, losing 2 of your top 4 players, could argue 3. You're not going to win a lot of series with that. But let's see how long they can prolong it, maybe get some guys back and go for it there. And if Blackwood maybe comes back to life or comes back to reality at some point in the series, I think Dallas will be good. But 8 straight game 1 losses is never good, and it's always hard to start behind the 8 ball. But they've been pretty successful in doing that under DeBoer. But this is going to be a new challenge. That's for sure. So there you go. Those are some my thoughts, reactions to game 1, adjustments we have to see for game 2, and maybe Miro will be back sooner rather than later, which is a great, great sign. That'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Again, I'll have to wait a bit later for an episode after game 2 tonight. Enjoy the game. I'll be doing some play-by-play tonight. Ice Rays have a chance to clinch their series tonight and get to the division finals, which would be awesome. So I'm enjoying playoff hockey in a bit of a different way. But if we win tonight, then I'll be able to put out some more live stuff as the week wears on, which will be good. So hopefully we can do that. But have a great rest of your day, Stars fans. As always, thank you guys so much. By the way, you can check out the NHL Game Night channel on Locked On. Every night during the playoffs, they're talking about each and every game. You can find it on the Locked On NHL or YouTube page, wherever you listen to your podcast. They're breaking down every single game each night if you want to listen to some comprehensive coverage of the NHL as well. But be sure to subscribe, comment, like, let me know how you're feeling after game 1 heading into tonight. Love you all, Stars fans. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.